Absolutely. Here's a 500-word story-style article inspired by the topic, Life After Loss, 8 Things Strong Men Do Differently. Written from a personal, reflective point of view, touching on strength, vulnerability, and growth. Life After Loss, 8 Things Strong Men Do Differently. When my wife died, I thought my world ended. I didn't cry at first. I just sat there, numb. Everyone kept telling me how strong I was, but deep inside, I felt hollow. Strength wasn't what they thought it was. I wasn't holding it together. I was surviving moment by moment. Over time, I learned that real strength looks different after loss. It's not about having all the answers. It's about showing up, even when everything hurts. Here are 8 things I and other strong men learned to do differently after loss. Step 1. They allow themselves to feel. I grew up thinking real men didn't cry, but grief doesn't play by those rules. One day I broke down in the car, and instead of hiding it, I let the tears come. That moment didn't make me weak, it made me human. 2. They ask for help. At first, I tried to do everything alone, handle the bills, raise the kids, manage the estate. Eventually, I realized strength isn't doing it all yourself. It's knowing when to lean on others. 3. They talk about their loss. It's tempting to go silent, to bottle everything up, but I found healing in sharing stories about her, who she was, what we loved, what we lost. Talking keeps her memory alive. 4. They find purpose in pain. Grief cracked me open, but through that space came meaning. I started mentoring younger widowers and writing about my journey. I couldn't change the past, but I could make sure it meant something. 5. They take care of themselves. I stopped eating right. I stopped sleeping. But slowly, I built routines again. I went back to the gym. I started cooking. Self-care isn't selfish. It's survival. 6. They protect their mental health. Strong men talk to therapists. They journal. They reflect. I didn't want to be stuck in anger or guilt forever, and therapy helped me process the complicated emotions that loss brings. They show up for others. I wasn't the only one grieving. My kids were too. Friends, family, they all felt the loss. I learned to support them while still navigating my own sorrow. Grief is easier to carry when shared. 8. They allow themselves to love again. I never imagined dating again. It felt like betrayal. But love doesn't erase the past, it builds on it. My heart didn't forget her. It just grew big enough to hold more. Grief doesn't leave. It changes shape, and so do we. Real strength isn't about moving on. It's about moving forward with integrity, compassion, and courage. I used to think strong men didn't break. Now I know. They break and they rebuild with open hearts and open hands. That's what strength after loss really looks like. Would you like a voiceover version of part of this story? I can help create a short spoken clip from it. Certainly. Here's a follow-up 500-word paragraph that deepens the emotional and reflective tone of the story, offering further insight into the journey of a man growing through grief. In the quiet months that followed the funeral, I discovered something unexpected. Grief doesn't only take, it gives too. It strips away everything unnecessary and leaves you with your raw self. I had to face emotions I had buried for years. Fear, loneliness, regret. For a long time, I kept busy so I wouldn't have to feel. I poured myself into work, house projects, anything to distract me. But distraction is a short-term fix. The silence always returned. One day, I came across her favorite sweater in the back of the closet. I held it and just sat on the floor, crying until my chest hurt. That moment didn't break me. It freed me. I learned to stop running from my sadness. I gave myself permission to hurt, and from there, I started to heal. I began journaling, not for anyone else, just for myself. I wrote her letters. I told her about my day. I admitted the things I was afraid to say out loud. Slowly, I found comfort in those pages. I also started reconnecting with people I had pushed away. I had to stop pretending I was fine and let people see the real grieving man underneath. And to my surprise, they didn't run. They stayed. Men often aren't taught how to be vulnerable, but vulnerability turned out to be my lifeline. I stopped measuring my strength by how much I could carry and started measuring it by how willing I was to let others in. I joined a local support group for widowers. At first, I was skeptical. I thought, what good is sitting in a room with strangers going to do? But hearing other men share their stories reminded me I wasn't alone. There were others who understood the silence of an empty house, the ache of watching the world move on, the strange guilt of laughter. That connection, raw and honest, became one of my greatest tools for growth. I also began finding beauty in unexpected places, in morning walks, in music I never used to listen to, in the stillness of sunrise. I started to see that while the pain would never fully go away, it didn't have to define me. I wasn't just a man who had lost his wife. I was still a father, a friend, a man with love left to give. And perhaps most importantly, I learned that joy and grief are not enemies, they coexist. There are days when I smile and days when I cry, and both are okay. I no longer chase closure because I don't need to get over her. I carry her with me, not as a weight, but as part of who I am. I am different now, more compassionate, more aware, more alive. Loss changed me, but it didn't destroy me. In fact, it revealed a strength I never knew I had, the strength to live, to grow, and to love again, even after everything. Would you like a short part of this turned into spoken audio? I can create a voiceover clip for you. Absolutely. Here's a 200-word paragraph that continues the emotional arc and reflects on embracing life again while honoring the past. As time moved on, I stopped counting the days since she passed and started noticing the days I felt a little lighter. Not because I forgot her, never that, but because I began to remember her with more warmth than pain. Her memory became a source of strength, not sorrow. I still talk to her sometimes, quietly, in the car or during walks. And I've come to believe that the best way to honor her is to live well, not in spite of her absence, but because of her presence in my heart. I began saying yes to new experiences, even when they scared me. I took a trip solo for the first time, something we had always talked about but never done. I stood on a mountaintop and felt her in the wind. I realized I didn't need to let go to move forward. I could carry her always, while still embracing the life that remained. I am not the man I was before loss, but I am proud of the man I've become. Grief shaped me, but it did not define me. Life after loss is still life, and strong men choose to live it with open eyes, open hearts, and quiet courage. Would you like to create a voiceover from part of this paragraph?